All right.
Because, yeah. I mean, okay, so I'll try to articulate what's been kind of exploding. Because what I'm realizing is, okay, so wake up in the morning, we get together and do this. And a number of concepts have all converged at once. So I'm going, wow, you know, getting up and doing this every day is really valuable. You know, and when we signed off yesterday, we were kind of talking about how full we were and how and how profound the whole thing was. And it's like, it's kind of like partly too about good morning, Pascal.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, guys.
So it's partly about generating energy. And generating energy and receiving nourishment, and give us this day our daily bread, and it's like we're approaching the field, or we're approaching source to give us the gifts that we need for today, because we don't really know. We don't really know what today is going to require, or what resources we will need to live today fulfilled. So it's about surrendering our day to source for everything. You know, I was sitting there in that in that theta space and going like, why do I do this every day? Why do I want to do this every day? There's something deep inside me that just wants to do this every morning. And I mean, for me to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day is like, the old me wouldn't be doing that. Like, no. But I'm so full of anticipation. Like, usually I'll wake up before my alarm goes off. And I'll sit there and I'll just download. It'll just come like crazy. And that habit is so true to me. This habit of doing this every day is just true to me. And I think I heard somebody a few months back that say that this experience was like getting manna from heaven. It's like, you know, that it would show up. And yeah, it was somebody else that said that. It wasn't me. I'm just reminded of it again. So really, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity every day to actually create today's value. And it's not like it's being dictated to us. It's like being presented a gift for today. A really valuable gift today that's perfect for today. And where you're going to be today and who you're going to meet today. And the energy specific to today. And the wholeness in yourself that you need to see for today. And the interdependence that you need to see for today. And we're generating that together. We're generating an energy. We're generating an energy organism for today. So I'm going to shut up and let you guys respond to that. You know, what is this giving you?
Well, for me, like to be connected to source, it means like being present for what is. It doesn't matter what it is, but be present.
Yeah.
Because if I'm present, I'm not thinking.
And not responding,
No.
not reacting, and allowing.
Yeah, not making it up.
Mhm.
No.
Not creating a false reality. Not creating a false reality in my head, but
And this practice is getting easier and easier for me.
yeah. But living a reality that's truly there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing the heart, seeing the heart of the present moment, seeing the heart,
Ooh.
present moment. Rather than entangling it with past patterns and thoughts. heart's presence.
Oh man. Oh, this is wild. This is really wild. Remember when Allison got on here a couple days ago, and do you remember what her word was?
Steadfast.
Steadfast. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And so a scripture came to me just now as you guys were talking, and it goes like this: the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. New every morning. Great is thy faithfulness.
Yeah, you're gonna have to say that again.
Okay, I will. I will.
There's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually it's actually a chorus that I learned, but I'll say it again. Okay. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. New every morning. And then it turns around and addresses source and says, great is your faithfulness. You're faithful to me every morning. I can count on you. You are steadfast. Your love is steadfast.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. And when I hear the word mercy in scripture, it's another way of God telling me none of this is my fault. I'm not responsible. I'm not responsible on a guilt level for anything.
I heard grace.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Grace, faith, and what it was like, what was there for me was a reflection to the past. To say, no, it doesn't have to look a certain way.
Correct. Yeah.
It's a free flow. It's allowing the presence, allowing something from nothing, from everything, to be something. And it still just amazes me. And how much we take it for granted, how much we discount it, how much we ignore it.
Mm.
So in all senses, it is right under all of our noses.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
conditioned.
Well, the real issue is awareness.
Yes.
We're conditioned to not be aware
Yeah.
of really what's going on. Or maybe we're not conditioned to not be aware, but we're conditioned to be aware of other stuff that doesn't matter. So our awareness has been redirected towards trivialities.
What is your word for today?
Gee, I don't know which one to give you.
Penetrating grace. That is my word.
Ooh, I like that.
Reaching it, like finding it. And those are bad words. Like those aren't the accurate words for it. Penetrating's closer. Because it's always there. So penetrating grace.
Mm.
I think that's also the secret formula is focusing on a word or a few words. That's the practice of what's written there, what's for today, what is right on our heart. And that practice that we do here is what you created, brought into existence this morning, Craig, as value.
Yeah.
And I thank you for that observation, for your awareness, for your genius, greatness, and gifts to bring that into form, into words, so that we all could experience it. Today.
Oh.
My words for today is unwavering presence.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I love it. The power of coming together. The power of bringing those words together, those energies. We aligned our energies, our focus, our creation on those words that each of us say, because they're being spoken and we're listening. Wow. Thank you, Pascal.
Yeah. Oh my. Do you guys realize that we're experiencing the presence of God together?
Mm-hmm.
Like in a very real way.
In a real way of just what we need today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not how I imagined.
No, me neither. So my word is this: presence. Presence for today. And that's an experience. That's an experience of presence. One of the things that came to me after the 5-day recode was I knew that I'd be running around the world teaching people intuition. Like I just knew that when I walked out the door of 5-day recode, that was it. I knew that was it. But what's interesting is that idea or that mission kept expanding for me. And throughout my life, I've had some very real personal, in-depth encounters with the presence of God, as I understand it, right? And I was wondering how I could draw other people into an experience with the presence of God. And do live events around that experience. And I called it, gee, that's noisy, Pascal. I called it presence intensive. Do presence intensives all over the world. And invite whoever I can find that wants to play in that playground. But here's what's interesting too. It's not about teaching. It's about inviting education. It's about being open to experience education, which means value is drawn out. So the whole thing is about combining everybody's gifts and genius and greatness in one place at one time and experiencing that combined with everything that Source has for us in that moment, in that experience, and just, you know, letting yourself go with that, letting the whole group go with that. So I'm getting really, really excited about this because it's like this is unfolding right in front of us. And the human partners in that have just shown up. And it happens to be the two of you, which really, really thrills me. Oh dear. Because you know the only way people are going to learn this is by seeing it demonstrated and experiencing it for themselves. Like there's no other way to do this, and you can do it online, but oh, the power of it in person, yeah, is just off the charts. You know, and it's not about creating a spiritual practice. This is about life energy.
It's more about being spiritual.
Yeah.
The being human. And it's experiencing it, engaging it, not what does it look like? Does it match my expectations? Does it match what I think?
Yeah. For me, it's about being creativity as God is creativity, and and the practice of being in sync with all that is. So it's not about
Yes.
getting fixed or becoming something. It's about being the wholeness that you already are, and attuning that wholeness to all that is.
And everything else outside of that would be observed to be chaos. It is so hard to put into words. Like, because it is what we want, yet we've spent our whole life being and doing the opposite.
Or being and doing something else.
Just something else, you know.
A lot of stuff we do has a certain amount of effectiveness. But
You fade, your voice faded. I could hardly hear it.
okay, you know, a lot of things that we do has a certain amount of effectiveness. But it sort of misses the mark. Like it's not quite it.
It's funny to me when people are saying like, yeah, you're too spiritual for me. And it's almost like they're denying what they really are. Because you heard that a lot, like, we're spiritual being having a human being experience. It's like, I don't want to be that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just really funny to me. You know, oh, you're too spiritual. What?
Or
we are.
Yeah,
like,
or I want to be that just to an extent, but I don't want the fullness of that. You know, I don't want to surrender to that completely. I just want to be partially that.
Yeah, it comes back to say like, I'm too scared of my power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to have intuition. Like, whoa, what is it? I don't want to know what to do moment to moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's like,
yeah.
Why not? I want to have a guide that tells me, okay, yeah, do this, do this, do this. Oh, you got the choice here. Oh, that's great. You know, like, and we are guided, which is denying it. That's why, like, I never like saw myself as an intuitive person. Never.
Yeah.
Never. Until I follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I never thought of myself as powerful until I followed it.
Yeah.
And if I think of the society, if I thought of a person who was the society in the whole, they avoid saying that same thing for some moral agenda, that some block that they've put in their way. I don't mean powerful from the masculine point of view, which is what we're all thinking about. I mean powerful from a feminine energy point of view.
Yeah.
And that just happens to embrace the masculine side of it. It leads it. So I understand the fear of the masculine power that's leading it. Yes, but it's not that. So it's like, who wouldn't want to be powerful? Same question, Pascal, right? It's like, who wouldn't want peace? Who wouldn't want to be happy? Who wouldn't want to feel valuable, worthy? Deep down, we all know it. We all want it. We just caged it up.
And we think we need to work hard for it.
Or fight it, right? Resist it. Like there's got to be work hard in it. There's got to be pressures into it. Yes. It's got to be a struggle or a suffer, or it's not worth doing.
Yeah, there needs to be force applied.
And I think the biggest, it's a great concept, Pascal, and I think it's the suffering. Right? We feel it has to be a suffer, otherwise it's not worth it.
Oh.
Yeah, you nailed it there. If I don't feel the pain, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, no pain, no gain, right?
Yeah.
Or no pain, no progress.
And that is so true. You know, but it's not avoiding the pain.
Well, I would say where there's the most resistance, there's the most gain.
Yes, me too.
You know, and I would say, like, you know, I was exploring like working out yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And I was like, I'm always avoiding this exercise. It was like a sidelong. I'm always avoiding it because it hurts. But I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I won't use as much weight or no weights, but I'll do it. And yeah, like the gain from it. I'm like, maybe why my knee's not stable is because I'm not working like the outside of my knee, you know? And it was just like, yeah, it was just kind of like, I don't know, like a spark. I was like, wow, hey, everything that I have resistance is where I get the most. And the other thing, like I need to work on, like I meditate, I breath work, sun gaze, whatever. But my resistance is around journaling. I don't journal my experience at all. And like, even like I took like a little course about channeling, like, or intuition. And then you're supposed to, you know, ask, what does my higher self want me to know today? Or soul, or whatever word you want to use. And I do it for a few days and then that's it. You know? And I put this, I don't know, there's a resistance between a paper and a pen. And I don't know what it is, but like I'm gonna have to force myself to do it.
Didn't you just say force?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
force myself. Because that's the only way.
Well, all right. Are you ready? Are you open for another interpretation?
Yeah,
Yeah, you do. You journal every morning here.
I know. I love this group because like we're three silly men, and we always
Quacks.
we try to choose our word like wise, right? And like it's great because we're great listeners. And then as soon as like we we see that one guy's off track a little bit, we're like, why don't we frame this? Yeah. That's it's amazing. Because our
Yeah.
spelling makes our own reality, right? So
I can't journal either. So I said, this is my best thing, my next best thing. Because I can easily pass this on.
Yeah.
For like, what's the point of the journal?
So
So you,
I'll give you my perspective on it. That little rabbit hole that you took us on there, Pascal, the last little bit was very fascinating and also very revealing because it kind of came to that end thing where you said, well, I gotta force myself to do it, and there's no other way. Which is like that's a real society default.
Yeah.
You know, it's an agreed conclusion generally.
Yeah, and I know if I force myself, it's not gonna happen.
Right. But that's society's mantra.
Yeah.
It's like push through it.
there's suffer through it, and then I'll get whatever it is will pop out on the other side.
Right. But when has that ever happened?
I mean,
For me, when I've done that, I created further damage more often than not. But I insisted on pushing through. Instead of obeying the pain that said, back up a little bit, back off a little bit. Okay, maybe this needs to take a week instead of one day. You know what I mean? Like,
I know it from, there it is. So there's my journaling. I'm going to push the pedal all the way to the floor, and I'm going to journal like crazy until I burnt out.
Yeah.
Rather than what I heard you is like, oh no, rather than pushing the pedal to the floor and holding it there, velocity, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to put the car in neutral and determine, look at, where do I want to go? Look at the scenery. Look at what's around me.
Yeah. So I also heard somebody say, I can't journal. I'm going, is that true? Well, because I keep struggling with that same thing off and on. And it's like, okay, is it true that I can't journal? Well, no, that's one of those statements. That's an all or nothing kind of statement.
Mm-hmm.
I can't is a definitive. So like I'm definite about this. I've given my power away to that statement.
Yes.
Okay. So back up a little bit and you go like, okay, so like what's the truth of that? What's the truth of that? So I say,
Mhm.
okay, like I've had a lot of experiences where I felt roadblocked by journal, by trying to journal, or when I tried to journal. Okay. So what was
I've
the
said
resistance to journal, right?
another good, I want to hold the resistance, but I also say it's like, oh, I've done it many times and it never caught on. It never continued consistently. So another
Right.
then the same conclusion comes to.
Right. And there's the word never. Okay. Never is another definitive.
Yep.
Well, I always or never. Well, no, neither one of those is true.
Well, from looking backwards, it is, but I understand it's not a truth going forward.
Right. Right.
But we take that nut, right? If it's a nut and bolt, we take that wrench and tighten it with the cants, just keep tightening it.
Yep. Yep.
And we don't ask, well, what's the purpose? Why? Journal. Because in that lies the passion. It's just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah.
Not tightened down, not limited and restricted, not manipulated or forced.
It's waiting for you to open to it.
Yeah, express it. Connect it. Connect to it. So that the next thing can open up. And then the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. Because it's not like I journal and then my life works out.
No. So that's interesting. There's an expectation that's tied to that too, that you just articulated there. It's a hidden expectation. Oh my, behind what you're doing.
There's the awareness key. And that, I think, is what we unpack here in the mornings. We remove those locks.
A mistaken motivation.
It's the yearning is there. We just don't know how to get to it. So we do everything around it.
Yeah, we do everything else but.
Which means we do all the buts. Which means we follow our butts.
Yeah.
Quack.
Wow. We try all the buts first.
And then it never works. Or it always, I never follow through. That's what I,
eliminate the stupid options.
yeah, you know, journaling was done alone, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I'm glad it works for some. And this is my journaling.
Yeah.
Well, it's mine too.
It's like, you know, like what would be the point of my journal would be, you know, if my kids read it. I mean, that was at some point it was a version of that. And it's like, well, this is so much better than that, having a book they have to carry around. Keep in storage that you're never going to open up and read.
You remember I've said a number of times over the last 200 days that this book I'm writing is writing itself. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Because I sat down on, I forget what day it was, Sunday? No, I think it was Saturday. I sat down Saturday and I came up with 10 chapter titles. after I said goodbye to you guys. So it's like it is. It's writing itself. This is so rich.
Yeah, and like Robert Fritz says, he says, you don't always go with the first thing that's there, but once it's laid out and looked at, then it morphs. It becomes something different, and it's not to hold on to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's to let the organism grow itself. It's like let the petri dish show its wares.
Yeah, and not resist to it.
Yeah. By concentrating on it.
Yeah.
Or
judging it.
Concentration is resistance, actually.
Or judging it, right? Like, oh,
yeah.
Well, that cannot be that easy, you know.
That doesn't make any sense.
Nobody's going to read that.
Well, we know that's true. So, I mean,
yeah, it goes without saying.
It doesn't mean that the passion's not there.
Yeah, exactly.
How could I create anything that somebody's going to want to read? Another form of imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah. You know, we wouldn't accomplish much like in our life if we would have say like, wow, not everybody's going to be doing this, or not everybody's going to be reading this, or not everybody's going to be liking what I'm doing. You know, if we would follow this, like nothing will get created.
So true.
Or setting up like it isn't worth writing a book unless 1 million people read it.
Yeah.
It's
like,
not valuable.
Now, and take that concept into the iPod. Exactly right, Pascal. It's like nobody knew they wanted it. That's a radical change.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, not everybody likes the iPad or iPhone, right? Some people like the Samsung.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean like you cannot create an iPhone.
That's right.
Well, and that's the interesting thing too, is that the smartphone went through 5 or 6 different iterations before it became the smartphone. And everyone built on the other.
I'm very sure there's still a few of us that remember the BlackBerry.
Yeah, I do remember
Well,
that.
and there's
I
a
never
few of
owned
us
one.
that remember the Newton.
Oh yeah, not me.
Yeah, the
Newton?
Newton. The Newton. The
No, I
Newton
don't know
was
what that is.
I forget what they called it. It was a handheld device that was basically an office in your hand, was the idea behind it.
Oh,
And it was developed at Apple in about 1993 or something like that. It was before Steve Jobs went back to Apple.
Ah,
oh wow. Yeah, you might have to mute me because they gave me
I
a
will.
really old piece of shit.
You-
And yeah, that will describe it well. It's just so
So-
loud. This thing.
You're fine. I choose you being here over that, so it's no problem, man.
All right.
So what did you say again, Jesse, about the iPod? Nobody knew they wanted it until it was there.
Yeah, thinking there's innovations that are radical, major, minor, and insignificant.
Yeah.
The categories of those, and so it's like certain ones, and you never know. I mean, you do, like, and if you're creating them, but usually the radical ones, people, they can't orient to it because it shifts the thinking so differently.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and
my
that's
project.
the way I create.
Yeah, me too. That's my project. It's not all of them do that by any means, but it's
No.
But it's when you can see the mindset that's so fixed like that ratchet, which is what our society is. It's a huge competitive advantage. Well, and to break that market is a pain in the ass.
Right. Well, because nobody believes in it when you're in the middle of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. In fact, everybody thinks you're crazy.
Oh yeah. It's so easy to say no.
Yeah. So the thing is, yeah, after your invention is making $500 billion, maybe you're not so crazy.
No, that's it. Then everyone wants to know how you did it.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
I tried to tell you along the way. And it's like and you have to pay for the no's you said. Nothing
Yeah.
personal.
Well, the other side of that is too, I've been paying for everybody else's nose. While I'm carrying that stuff.
100%. That's that. Now it's my turn to get the return.
Yep.
Cut me a deal, sure. I just start really high. I can always come down.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is too, I already know that I can do that again and again and again.
Oh yeah.
Because I've done it many times already.
Mhm.
It's just that there's a huge awareness around it now for me and the value of it.
When you take your foot off that gas pedal, keeping it floored in drive and overdrive, you pull that thing back and you start to take a look around what's around. Oh, how else could I do this?
Yeah.
And just not needing to know, right? Listening to the passion, the words that are coming out, and not wrapping my head around it. But just, well, what could that, oh, I mean, Jesus, 203 days of it being documented. My version of
I'm
it,
so grateful.
you're doing your version of it. Pascal's got his version of it, you know, and it's like at some point people are going to be like, oh, they're going to start paying attention. So are we predicting the future? I think so.
Totally. I've already created the future.
Yeah,
That's the biggest realization I have. And I
true.
created the future 40 years ago.
Mhm.
You know, and all the really all the kind of crappiest parts of it have become extremely successful already, and they're barely even scratching the surface.
And many times along the way, I said, why did I make this choice? Why am I here? It would have been easier to go the other route. And now I'm putting together how I'm going to sell part of my company. Yeah, who am I selling it to? My two most loyal employees. Give them a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
Well, then I take another big chunk of it. Me and my partner. I mean, we just made it bigger. And I mean, you think of it, I went from $3,000 to $10,000. So it's like, oh, what do I do with all that room?
Yeah. Well, and the other side of it too is it's an abundance model, self-sustaining. So the thing is, you can divide that up into really small pieces and sustain a lot of people.
Yeah.
As you go.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about when your invention approaches infinity.
Mhm.
You know, it's that growth curve. When it approaches infinity, you can keep subdividing it over and over and over again, and it just goes exponential.
I mean, your costs cut in half and your revenue triples. I mean, that's not a bad model to work with.
Right, exactly. Yeah, let's keep doing that, please.
Yeah. It allows you to, it gives you a huge competitive advantage when you're not running a cost plus 15% business.
There we go. There we go. Didn't God say that? Didn't God say, be fruitful and multiply? Kind of a subtle hint, maybe.
Oh, and hasn't that been manipulated?
Oh, of course. Of course. What did that actually mean?
Work hard. That's what it meant in my household. Work harder.
Yeah, but wasn't that the curse? wasn't that the so-called curse that was sent after Adam when he was banished from the Garden of Eden? That's how the story goes. It said the story said that Adam was destined to live by the sweat of his brow, and that he would have to work the earth in order to make a living, and that Eve would be in submission to him. And go back to Genesis and read it. It's freaky. Now it's the story is set out like as if it was a curse, But my take on it is that it is like it was God saying, if you continue in this, if you continue eating of that tree every day, you continue eating that death tree every day, this is what life is going to be like for you.
Mhm.
It's not like it was a curse. It was like this is this is the end result
Oh, wow. Wow. That's a
of
huge,
living like this.
isn't that such a taking your wrench and just keep tightening the bolt?
Yeah, it's more like
Oh.
a prophecy.
Wow.
You continue in this, and life is going to be like this.
Wow.
A daily death will yield this. And the story goes on. The story goes on where if you continue reading the Old Testament, there's time after time after time where God comes to the people and he says, at the end of Deuteronomy, God comes to the people and he says, I set before you this choice. You can choose life or death, but I encourage you to choose life. And the people don't choose life. They choose death. And then, and another time happens before that. Before the 10 Commandments are given out, God comes to the people, or he talks to Moses, and he says, I want to make your nation. I want to make these people that are following you. I want to make them a kingdom of priests. And he offers them that. God offers the people that. And everybody turns them down again. And the offer keeps coming up. If you continue reading the Old Testament, you see that same offer that comes up. God says, choose life. And he puts it right in front of them. He says, I will do this for you. I will be life for you. And they keep turning them down. And it happens over and over and over again. Morning.
You know, so much like where we say we can't or never or any of that.
Yeah.
And it's
in our language.
yes.
Those decisions, those agreements, they're in our language.
They're in our stories, they're in our past, they're in our culture, they're in our society. They're orientations that we've passed on again and again. Unexamined.
Unexamined. Exactly. That's a huge part of this work we're doing, is to re-examine our language.
Aware.
Yeah. Well, awareness is a key, and awareness is a power.
Yeah.
huge power.
You know, where am I fixing like there, like to improve, but also fixing like a permanency?
Yeah.
And where am I doing what everyone has told me to do?
You know, one of the greatest gifts of this spiritual awakening that I've been experiencing is that my language is changing.
Yeah. From the inside out.
So that's so big.
From the
So big.
inside out. Yes.
You know. And dwelling in open language, dwelling in openness and receptivity.
Oh.
You know, I mean, that's a lifestyle.
Demanding it is like demanding it.
That's the valuable daily bread that I was referring to earlier.
And what I mean, like demanding, I mean, we call attention to it when we hear others do it, when we hear ourselves do it. Yeah. It is our power.
Yeah, my self-realization is I speak less and listen more.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I choose my word wisely. And you guys were talking about awareness, and then that was an interesting one for me. So awareness comes before thoughts. So I'm looking at Kai, and then he's fully aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he has no thoughts. I almost guarantee you.
Yeah.
So
that's why he's growing so much and learning so much.
yeah.
Does he have emotions? Is he emotional?
He is, yeah. Well, like, yeah, he's reacting to his awareness.
Yeah. The feelings, there's feelings there.
Yeah.
Feelings before words.
Yeah. So, you know, when I use the term nonverbal, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the impressions and the emotions and the feelings. That's an extremely creative space. It's emotional energy. There's an energy in that. Yeah. In fact, emotional energy is the most power that we have in a human body. It's emotional energy.
That you can force and manipulate to do your journaling for you.
Well, yeah, exactly. So it can be misused. It can be misused because it's misunderstood. So the thing is, you get an angry reaction of some kind that shows up, an emotional reaction to something that shows up that's probably true and legitimate, but because there's a block to expressing that, that energy of it gets rechanneled into something else.
Yes.
And that it ends up becoming a motivation for that's redirected towards something else. So if there's unresolved anger somewhere, it can express itself in another way if it's been ignored and if it's been suppressed. Let's put it that way. It'll eventually pop out somewhere. I mean, that's what happened in my marriage and divorce experience, is that my wife came across as being extremely friendly and jovial and all these things, but there was an anger underneath everything that finally came out, and it was hostile. It was when it came out, it was demonic. But the interesting thing was that she continued to hide behind her persona, and people still see her as, as angelic. And she managed to deceive pretty much everybody involved. So it's kind of amazing, But the only reason I see it is because I was on the receiving end of the full force of her anger. But I was the only one that was there. So it's like, whoa. I still have people come to me and they say, what's wrong with you? I go like, holy crap. Yeah, I've been a damn pincushion for 30 years. That's what's wrong with me. And I'm recovering from that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, and people pleaser, right?
Well, yeah. Well, but I'm recovering in ways that I never could have imagined. Like what we're doing here every day is supercharged recovery for me. There's a hell of a lot in these daily sessions for me. There's recovery, and there's nourishment, and there's value, and there's life energy, and there's flow, and there's experience, and there's learning, and there's growth, and there's sustenance. And I could continue using those really uplifting and expanding words, but I mean, seriously, my being needed this, and my being created it. It's no accident. My knowing knew what was required and created it. Along with you guys. and all the other people who've participated in this thing.
Mhm. Yeah, there's been moments of tension for sure.
Yeah, and I'll share my therapy with you guys. So my therapy is not you pointing me, oh, what's wrong with me? But it's for me to discover myself, what's been in imbalance.
Hmm.
So it's a self-discovery, self-realization for me. And that's the most powerful therapy I ever experienced.
Yeah, yeah,
Well put. Well put.
yeah, yeah. I think we mentioned that a little bit earlier too. It's kind of like the aligning with the wholeness that's already there.
Yeah, and it's to also like to discover what's the energy is for me and what is not. And I'll give you just a quick example. My wife is frustrated that I'm not kind of an angry person, or I don't stand ground against other people.
Uh-huh.
But I stand ground with her. And as you were talking, I realized that her dad was a really rough guy when she was growing up, which wasn't the case with me, like with my dad. So it's like the only thing she knows, it's like someone that's rough with her.
Yeah, yeah.
So like she thinks like that's the truth. A man should stand his ground all the time. And because I don't, well, she perceived that I don't, relative and whatnot.
Yeah.
She doesn't see it that way because I'm not an angry person. I'm like
Yeah.
I don't know,
Comparing
like
you with your dad?
a passive angry, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to really say it, but yeah, it's to recognize what's mine and what's not, and it's not to judge it. It's just to be aware of it.
Yeah.
You know, and then that way I don't have to take it personally because I'm like, that's not mine.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Right?
I felt a lot of pressure to change my style of doing things too.
And I know I cannot
Pressure of
point it out.
expectation. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I cannot point it out to my wife and be like, oh, you know, it's because your dad was like this. I know it's not going to turn out right, you know?
Mhm.
So it's to her, self-discover in her. And that's going to be a breakthrough for her.
So let's work through that. So what is it that she gets? What is it? What do you think her dad was proving to her in his anger from her perspective?
Discipline.
He loved her.
Yeah, he wants to protect her.
So that's from her perspective. That's what she sees that anger, she's like, oh, that's love. That's protection. That means that person cares. So the other side of it for you is to say, no, this is how I love you. That's the demonstration. That's the demonstration piece. So it's always to bring up that this is how I love you. because like, right, that doesn't, it's again one of those fixed points. It's like I only know that, especially in that heated moment, right, you should be angry with me because that is her pattern, right? Her pattern's going to be angry, and it's like oh, this is how I love you.
Or
This
this
is
is how I
Pascal's.
should relate to you.
Yeah, that too.
Good morning.
Yeah, because it might not always be love, like you said. It's protection. You know her better. It's like, oh, it's protection. Like, oh, this is how I protect you. Or go marry your dad.
Yeah.
Go marry
Yeah,
your dad.
that's the truth
know-
of it, right?
Yeah. Well, they say that people marry into a situation that is similar
Yeah.
to their family of origin because there's a comfort in it. There's a
Yeah.
comfort in the familiarity of it, right?
That's it.
So it's not that you're marrying a person, but you actually marry a situation.
It's, the
You're
patterns are
marrying
so.
a pattern. Yeah.
Oh, you are. Oh,
Or
God.
an energy. You know, you marry a similar energy.
So that's our fixing for today, Pascal.
Yeah. And that's whether it be beneficial or not.
Ah, that's so true.
Okay. So the reason I didn't see my wife as angry was the same reason I didn't see my mother as angry.
Yep.
I remember I was at an energy, my energy therapist, and this is about, this would be about 3 years ago now. And I remember the end of a session, and I got hit by this thing. So I had been married for 30 years at this point. And the realization came to me that I had married my mother. Oh
boy.
It took me 30 years to realize that.
Yeah, that's a big realization.
And it was like, oh my God, you know? So yeah, it hit me like a brick. And then the 3 years following that, it really hit me like a brick.
Yeah, and that was all you could see, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I experienced the deep truth of it.
Yep. You can not, once you're aware, so you can't unsee it.
Well, yeah. Well, exactly. So actually living through the completion of the trauma cycle is basically what the last 3 years has been for me. It's actually been a whole thing about completing the cycle, because I never had. I mean, I had lived over 60 years without completing that trauma cycle. So carrying that around for that long.
Well, it probably your family cycle, so it probably is generational.
Well, it's the family cycle too.
Yeah.
But I mean it. But it was the truth of my core wound, and my core wound and the trauma cycle, and being traumatized as a kid, and then re-traumatized and all that kind of stuff. but I could never, I could not complete it until I came to some of those realizations, and then it was like, oh boy, because all the stored up energy of that kind of hit me all at once. Because I had been avoiding the completion throughout my life. And all of a sudden now I was aware of it. So now here I've got to, as I'm saying that though, like it sounds like it's bad. But what's very interesting about this is that all my superpowers developed and grew and became powerful inside that environment. So even though it was painful and excruciating in many, many ways, it's also the seat of my power. So here's what's really interesting about this, and this realization came to me last week sometime. I might have mentioned it here, I don't know if I have or not, but it came out with my psychotherapist on Friday again, is that the things that were triggers for me have become anchors. The triggers have become anchors. So when I feel triggered, there's a truth in that. There's a truth in that trigger that is actually empowerment for something different.
That's the importance of facing it, going through it, allowing it, rather than keeping to avoid the resistance.
Right. I got really good at that, you know. I got really good at self-regulating.
Yep.
Until I came to an experiential point where I was unable to regulate myself anymore. I just could not do it. You know, and that's one of the problems with psychology and psychiatry today, is that we keep being sold coping mechanisms, and all coping mechanisms do is prolong the agony. Because if you learn how to self-regulate, you can just continue to keep yourself from experiencing. And that's what happens. People are making a hell of a lot of money selling that shit. And it doesn't help anything. It actually makes everything worse. It gives what's there more energy.
So recovery, like alcoholic drug recovery, right? It's like how many days sober and clean you are, and then you tell them what your disease was. So it's like, oh, I'm 66 days clean and I'm an alcoholic.
Right. Which is totally counter to what would be beneficial to say.
That's right. And what they just like, I'm not anymore. I'm not that anymore, yet I'm still attached to it. It's like, whoa,
right.
Red flag, please.
Yeah, they tell you to keep identifying with that. And that's the problem.
And it's like whatever 300, and there's still 365 days later, they're still fighting it, you know?
Right. Yeah. So that's what, so when I say the trigger becomes the anchor, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's like, you know, that trigger is not the identity. Okay. It's not my addiction.
And
When
I'm not that.
when I put ownership on the addiction, I'm identifying with it. And that's not true.
That's true.
I am not my addiction. I am not my pattern. I am not.
You're the awareness of it.
Well, but it's not even that. I am not. I am not that. I am not my behavior. Figure that one out. Okay. I am not my behavior. I am not. I am. See, it's funny because I used the word. I said my behavior. See, look at how entrenched this is in our language. Okay. I am not the behavior. It's not my behavior. It's society's behavior that I act out. It's learned conditioning. It's learned programming. It's even taught programming, which is why I don't want to be a teacher anymore.
What's taken out of it is the choice. It's like, oh, look, you chose that, and today you can choose something new. And today, choose something to identify with differently, right? Rather than looking
the key part
back.
Of it.
Yeah.
So it's not
Always
choose a
looking
different.
back.
It's not choose a different behavior. It's choose what you're gonna choose what you want to identify with.
I'm clean and sober 66 days. That's it. Because that's what we're choosing. That is what we're choosing. Like that was what people were in that program for.
Okay. So then on top of that, what would be really helpful there is to create an open choice in addition to that. So I am clean and sober is a choice of truth, is a choice of your truth that you're identifying with. I'm identifying as clean and sober. Okay, but add an open choice to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I am receptive to whatever. I am receptive to whatever, you know, or I
choose a clean and sober life I love.
Yeah. I am open. I am open to life. I am open to living. I am receptive to life energy or something like that.
Well, it is. It's so much looking forward rather than looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. Or I choose to identify with life. I choose to identify as life itself. Or I choose to identify with grace.
Powerful.
Grace is who I am, right? or something like that. I am
anything.
Yeah, I am. Anything. I am love. I am.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, and it's all in the language that they talk about the benefits, you know, and it's all in that language with it. It's just the focus is, on the old patterns. It's like, oh my God, people, let's just choose something new. That's why it doesn't work. I mean, if we sit there and say 33% is successful, it's like 33% is the placebo.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you call that success, I just call it the 33% are the people that really want to quit.
Yeah.
The rest of them, that keeps them in business.
But again, then the measurement is made according to an idea of success.
Exactly.
So why does that even come up? Because I mean that just kind of assumes that you're responsible for your own behavior.
That's what I said. It's like if it worked, you wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
We can't have that, right? You can't have that. You'd have to go do something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be what we all wanted?
Right. So you put a bird in a box, put a hole in a box so that the bird can have air and see the sky.
Yeah.
And you take
bird
them,
won't die.
And you put them right. Yeah, the bird won't die because you made a hole in the box, but you still keep them in the box.
Yeah. It's fine. That's fine.
That's your cash cow.
Yeah, that's fine. And there are good people. I mean, and they all are.
Oh, yeah.
They all are. It's just the orientation is just we're challenging the orientation.
Yeah.
That's what awareness is. That's what creators do.
Yeah. Because addictive behavior of any kind, it's just a reflection. It's just a reflection of your environment and what you know and all that stuff.
And who's to say it's bad? I mean, Jesus, that's what society says. You can't do that one.
Yeah,
and that
that's
one,
pretty
and everything we do is everything we do is an addiction.
Right. One of the chapters in my book. Addiction.
I like the story that as we came down out of the trees, we started to eat that mushroom that grew on the animals' dung, and it was a hallucinogen, and that's how our brain grew so much. It's like nothing like that's evolution.
Yeah.
Hey, Craig, I've got a title for one of your chapters.
Okay, go for it.
Productivity is the mentality of a slave.
Yeah, well, actually it is. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Productivity, the slave's mindset. I love that.
Yeah.
It's those words that pull out that trigger, that pull out that reaction to be like, oh, I don't have an addiction. Your every pattern in your life is an addiction. You just are putting a charge that's negative that you don't want it. Because you assume every addiction's bad.
Yeah, because the word itself has a charge.
Yep. Different for everyone. Charges everyone differently.
Yeah, there's a lady named Mary O'Malley that wrote books about your compulsions. And basically these books are about look, you're compulsive by nature, so why not redirect your compulsions and use them as an instigator or a launch pad or a way to propel yourself forward, and use the energy of your compulsions in ways that are beneficial to you.
Yes. Mobilization.
Yeah. It can be all of those things. It can be whatever you personally require it to be. What you choose it to be.
Only if you allow it to be something other than what you think it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's back to the thing about a trigger becomes an anchor. Right? So there's energy when you're triggered. There's energy in that trigger. Okay, so you can actually use that as exactly that. I mean, it can be a motivation. That energy can be a motivation. Or a conscious choice to propel a conscious choice.
Yeah. It's just, positives we're drawn to and negatives we avoid.
So back to that productivity. Thank you, Pascal. Yeah, back to that productivity. By a show of hands, how many of us were taught to set goals that way? How many of us were taught that a goal is useless unless it has a measurement tied to it?
Specific with a time, right? A SMART goal, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, if Pascal doesn't get his route done today, then he failed his job.
Again.
Oh well.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about that is you're restricted by an expectation, a timeline,
Achievable.
a certain outcome. Yeah, and an achievement of some sort. Like, holy crap, is that destructive? That
No
collapses
room for
everything.
innovation in that.
There's no room for
innovation.
anything. There's no openness in that at all.
Nope.
It's a goal. That goal is closed-ended.
It's efficiency. It's the best efficiency you can get. Like, efficiency matters.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that a guiding principle of the assembly line?
It
The
sure
whole reasoning
is.
behind it. Yeah, exactly.
The whole industrial revolution has been about efficiencies.
Yeah. It's like you create an automobile with as little effort and movement and etc. as possible. And that's why robots are making cars today.
and you're not guaranteed to get the outcome.
Right, right.
Just there's no guarantee for the outcome.
Is that why so many people are disillusioned by their New Year's resolutions?
Same thing as the addict or the alcoholic.
Yeah, because we're
Suffer through it. Let's suffer through that New Year's resolution.
We're trained to experience life that way. Oh, this is big. This is big.
The slave.
Evolutionary.
It works well for Bezos, right?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Works well for the government. Productivity. Continuous growth. There's always got to be growth. What happens when there's no growth?
Collapses.
In an economic model. Yep.
Yeah, it collapses.
GDP, we call it.
Yep. So it's it's a faulty structure. Because it's a closed system.
It's a slave structure. Yeah. With promises that never came true when the assembly line was assembled.
Yeah.
Good intentions, right? But it just erodes itself away.
So what did it cost?
3 generations later, we're seeing the repercussions of it.
Yeah.
That's
So
the true cost.
What did it cost besides human dignity?
Suffering.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of, giving up, hopelessness, helplessness, victimhood. Yeah, just keeps supporting. It's a different flavor of slave.
Right. Yeah. Oppression showed up in a different form.
Bigger divides, right? Larger divides, anger, frustrations. Jesus.
Yeah. The American Revolution was fought for this.
Yeah.
Against an oppressive king that was taxing people who didn't have a voice. And here we are 250 years later in exactly the same situation. But a different oppressor.
Yeah, and I see that people are starting to see their voice matters. If you look at the boycotts,
yes,
they're starting to realize, like, oh, I really can affect things. Ask Bud Light, ask Target, right?
Yeah.
Now, the point of it is people are starting to see that they do have some power. Power in their choice. And that's an evolution, I think, right? That's becoming aware of it, and boom, that's just like the way that it goes. Which is like why I'm encouraged with it.
Yeah. That's why my primary message is a message of liberation from oppression. Getting out from under. Replacing outer authority with inner authority. Only my inner authority knows my truth. And that's something I choose to identify with. I choose to identify with my truth, my true nature. Oh, wow.
I'm in the store, fellas, so I'm on mute, but I'll get a few things for today.
What was that again, Jesse?
I'm here. I'm at the store picking up a few things for breakfast. So
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, here's what I'm seeing right now too, is this is a huge opportunity for us to identify with these open principles, these open concepts, like as in I choose to identify myself as love. I choose to identify myself as grace. I choose to identify myself as mercy. I choose to identify myself as truth. I choose to identify myself as creativity. I choose to identify myself as faith. I choose to identify myself as wonder. I choose to identify myself as playfulness. I choose to identify myself as receptivity. I choose to identify myself as openness. I choose to identify myself as awareness. I choose to identify myself as consciousness. Capital C. I choose to identify myself as divine. I choose to identify myself as all that is. I choose to identify myself as justice. I choose to identify myself as equality. I choose to identify myself as unity, as oneness. I choose to identify myself as wholeness. Oh, wow. That's pretty liberating. Just letting that come out of my mouth. Wow.
The importance of speaking it out loud, right? And just testing it and seeing. It's like, oh, what is that? I can feel and release it by saying it out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I followed it with some thymus thumps. Yeah, that's life energy we're talking about. You three silly men. Wow. Wow. Making a conscious choice as to what I identify with is very, very powerful. Oh, wow. This is all just unfolding for me right now, right in front of me. Wow. Oh, what a gift. The gift is the ability to put words to it. Oh man.
Yeah, the courage to put words to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we put words to anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
And when it's our true words, right, we test them out there, and it goes against what our conditioned or patterns are.
Yeah.
And unless you're when you're in an environment of being judged or labeled or ridiculed, right, criticized, you can't be free to express the truth.
Yeah.
Or even like try it, because it's all it is just trying it out. And does that is that work? Is that like you were just laying out your choices? It's like I choose I could be this and this and this, and it just releases all the shit you kept held in of why you couldn't be that.
Yeah. Yeah. It breaks me out of the box.
Yeah. You're a bird that can fly. And you realize that you were the one that was keeping you in the box.
Yeah. Yeah. By not making the choice to be outside of the
Resisting it.
box.
Hiding from it. I'm powerless to my box, to my condition, to my environment. And, no, all I got to do is practice saying it out loud. It's that easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And all those goals I was setting were just choices to stay in the box.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Oh. Oh.
Rather than looking at, well, what would I have? What would I be? Why do I want that? Most of it is we holding on to this childish expectation, right? That we just have modified as we've gone away, but growing up, but it's still in the same orientation, same direction. We hold it as true, but it may not be what's true. And it comes back to again, well, then I might not be right. Perfect.
Right. Hold it as true. Hold it as true. That was a key statement. Hold it as if it is true.
That's it.
Hold on to a truth that's not.
And so the context, the difference becomes, what am I holding as true and what is true? That's the tension. That's the awareness. And that's where the beauty of life shows up. That's where passion's found, right?
Yeah.
That's where purpose exists. That's where peace is at.
Yeah. That's where attunement with your wholeness is.
Be free to speak all the coulds. And just feel what it releases, what it lets go of. Feel that release. That's what's important. Who knows what's possible after the release?
Yeah. Could be anything.
It is anything. Unless we're focused on looking at how it has to be through the goals or expectations or judgments.
The release sets potential free.
Yeah.
Wow, Jesse, you're on a roll this morning.
We all have our short moments.
Yeah. Oh, I just want to encourage you to keep it coming.
All have our moments. And that's the thing, right? It ebbs and flows. It's up and down. It's,
Yeah.
oh, there it is, there it isn't. And
Yeah. Emotional energy is like that. You know, emotional energy is a waveform. Which also means that it's a vibration, a vibrational form.
well, guys, I'm back home. I'm going to step out. You guys want to stay on?
I actually just got a notice from somebody that I need to send them a message. So
Yeah, and the truck is super loud here. So the only thing I would say, I love the series of things you said. Correct. But the thing, like, for me, I choose not to identify to anything. Just to be the awareness of it. And it is like complete detachment. And there's nothing wrong with like identify the things. But in my perspective, like what I need is complete detachment from everything.
Yeah, but that's the point. The point to me is identifying with what's true.
Yeah, and it's just my truth, you know, just be aware of everything. I mean, it's great to choose love. It's great to choose everything you said. Absolutely. I agree. The only way I feel it's like, if I identify with love and at some point I'm not love, then
why would that be?
Because I identify to be that, I feel. So
Identify with something else. Well, but that's the point.
but that's why I'm like, you know, if at one point I'm not good with someone, then I'm just like that, accept it all, right? Like I'm not judging it. I'm like, okay, well, 90% of the time I'm an amazing person, and 10%, like, you know, I'm human, you know, I got triggers, I got this, got that, right? So, but to be okay with everything.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not about being okay with stuff. The thing is that the truth is that I am love.
Yeah.
That's the truth of my essence, that I am love. And so when I say I choose to identify as love, that is an alignment statement. That's an alignment statement, not of my truth, but of capital T truth.
Yeah.
And that's the power of it, right? It's making a conscious choice, to identify with it. To identify as that.
I don't think the thing matters. I think the information is what's important. It's the tension between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just information.
Oh yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, but it's not just information. That's my point. It's an identity, which is like beyond information. It's not a description. It's a truth.
Yeah. Great morning, guys. I'm going to step out.
Yeah, I got to step out too because I got a meeting coming up here.
Great.
Sounds good,
But yeah,
guys.
yeah, very fruitful this morning, gentlemen.
Mhm.
Silly
Absolutely.
men.
Yeah.
I love
Be
that.
present.
Yeah, yeah.
Be
Yeah.
present if you choose freedom.
Practice presence.
All right. Till next time, guys.
Okay, big
All right.
love, everybody.
Big love.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You were still on? Greg is still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Yeah. I think he kept us on there. That's why I was like, I'm hearing like someone's breathing. I don't think how it is possible. Maybe put you as co-host.
Say again.
Maybe put you as a co-host. That's why you're
He might
still on?
have. Yeah, I don't know. I'm working on other stuff right now, so I'm not really
Yeah, no
here.
worries.
Let's see what he did.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'll go on
No,
with my thing.
he made you the host, Pascal.
He made me the host. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
That's why.
Yep.
Oh.
So anyways, do you mind talking a little bit more about the whole thing about identifying with?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I wanna understand what your resistance was to that.
I just think like I choose love, I choose this, I choose that. I don't think it's a resistance, it's kind of a knowing that I'm already that. That I don't need to choose it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right? It's more like a knowing than like, okay, I'm kind of at that point that like,
Yeah, so should we word it as a declaration instead of a choice?
Yeah, just that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm like that.
Like you could say, I'm already loved, right? I'm already loved. Yeah. I'm already this. I'm already that.
Because here's how this is all showing up for me.
Right.
Is that it's true that I'm already all of those things. Okay.
Yeah.
But here's the problem: is I keep identifying, like my language reveals to me that I keep identifying with other things that I'm not.
Okay.
My language shows that. So when I say I am, just for an example, I say I am sick. Okay, I'm identifying myself as sick.
Mm.
Okay, so my language keeps doing that.
Right, and the universe will. It's just like a
So what I
perfect
wanted to
mirror.
do-
So
Yeah, what I wanted to do is I wanted to counteract those kind of subconscious statements that I make about my
okay, yeah.
identity. I want to counteract them with the truth.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Kind of swapping things, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So what I'm doing is I'm changing my relationship with the language of it.
Gotcha. Oh, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I notice the most is like the language that we're actually using. You know, like I said, like we're really particular with our words. We choose them wisely, like.
Yeah, but a lot of times we don't choose them at all. We just
And
speak what comes out, right?
I think the only like I don't know if you call it negative, like maybe a negative vibration. It's when we're talking about society.
Yeah.
We kind of identify ourselves as not, in a sense, you know? Yeah, but we are this, but like society is like that. But like if we're all one, then we are society.
Right.
Right? So that's the only like little hiccup. And then like, you know, the one thing I wanna, you know, I get so many insights just looking at my relationship, right, with my wife, with Kai.
Yep.
And that's why I tell those self-awareness, whatever. But in a sense, like what I'm trying to do is not talking about anybody if they're not there, if they're not present.
Yeah.
You know, so that's something I'm working on.
Yeah. Are you making rules for yourself?
No, just be aware of it.
Yeah.
You know, because what I'm doing, like I'm comparing, and in a sense, like it's not like I'm bringing down someone, but at the same time, like, wow, they're like that, but you know, not my issue, right? But again, like the law of one, you know, her issue is my issue, and your issue is my issue, right? Like it's all, you know, and if I grow, then you grow. Right? It's just, yeah. But just be self-aware, right? Like that, okay, well, that person is not present. Even if I'm talking good about the person, right? Like it's just, She's not there to hear it. Maybe I could use my relationship to it and not pointing at anybody, right? I don't know, I'll try. And trying, I don't like the word trying.
Yeah.
Trying is like, I don't know. Trying is not, no. Because I said that a lot. And a lot of time I don't do it, right? It's, yeah. Yeah, I found my vocabulary simpler.
Yeah.
Like you were like pointing at never, always.
Yeah.
Like those words and like need.
Yeah. Yeah. Like RJ was talking about need and want.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
I
That's
don't-
right.
yeah.
You watched that one.
Yeah, I don't agree with I don't agree with the way he said we should eliminate them from our vocabulary because
Yeah, because he didn't really.
the truth
say,
is we actually have there are true needs that exist.
Yeah.
You know, I mean the reason a lot of people have, or one of the reasons why a lot of people have a lot of things going on in their life, or a lot of obstacles they're dealing with, or resistance they're dealing with, and that kind of stuff, is because they had needs that weren't met, and those needs never go away. I mean, they're inherent in human nature. I mean, we start off in this life completely dependent. We're actually helpless. Human beings are helpless.
Yeah.
And so they're needy, whether we like it or not. So to eliminate that from your vocabulary just because you don't like it is absurd.
Yeah, I
You
would
know,
have
it's just
loved
an avoid.
to-
It's just an avoidance.
Yeah, I would have loved that. Like he come up with a different word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe, right? Like.
Yep.
So what would you use instead than need or want? And I think like someone says in a comment, would you use instead than want, desire? And he says no. I think he said that. I can't quite recall it.
He said, "Don't use desire either."
Right.
Wow.
But then he used it, like, you know, and then after that, like I pay attention what he was saying, and he was saying want, and I'm like,
Yeah.
kind of contradict yourself right now.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, so when you don't use it.
Well, you know
Right?
something? I trust the stuff that three silly guys come up with more than I trust something that one person, one guru is going to tell me.
Right.
Okay? And that's because when the three of us get together, we actually develop the concepts. We allow the concepts to develop.
Mm.
And so, yeah, and so that's why, that's part of the reason why I wanted to explore this with you some more. That whole thing about identifying with and all that kind of stuff, because it's
Yeah.
really, because this stuff we're doing every morning is really, really important.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's world altering, this stuff that we're doing every day.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, the subtle change that's happening every day. It might not be perceived by the human eyes that it's making a difference, but in the energetic level, it's huge.
Yeah.
Right, so it cannot be seen. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like,
Yeah,
it cannot be seen.
It's not tangible,
No.
but it's very real.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You know what? I got to get off this call because I've got something else that's happening in about a little more than 10 minutes, and I got to get.
Oh, it's
ready.
all good. Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, so I got to go. But yeah,
Well,
thank you for sticking around.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and thank you for your presence this morning.
Oh yeah. Well, and thank you for yours too. Like, it was just Jesse and I for a little bit, and I was hoping you would show up, and you did. So thank you for obeying.
Yeah, well, the only time I don't is when I'm off,
Yeah,
when I'm working. When I'm working.
Yeah.
And when I'm in vacation, then I can be on the call.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So today is a vacation day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it cannot be seen by the human eyes as a vacation, but it is for me.
Things are not as they appear.
No. Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. And it's how you perceive them. Right? Because, like, for some people, it's a struggle to come to work.
Yeah.
Well, we call it work, yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a vacation. So I have more vacation than I'm actually working.
Yeah.
So
Cool,
man. All right. Well, we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. You take care, Craig.
Don't work too hard.
No, there's no work. And that's what I was going to say, like, about productivity and slaving and all that stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm very productive, but I'm just present. So you can be present and productive. Way more. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. You're way more productive if you're present.
If you're present.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you on that.
Yeah.
That's my spark for the day.
Yeah, that's very good.
Cool, buddy. All right.
Okay.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Big love.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.